Now listen carefully. Because this truth can change your life. Most people think they are unhappy. Because of life. Because of problems. Because of money. Because of people. But that is not the real reason. The real reason is deeper. And most people never see it. You are not unhappy because of life. You are unhappy because of validation. Because you are addicted to approval. Think about your normal day. You wake up. And check your phone. Messages. Likes. Views. Notifications. And slowly, your mood depends on it. If people respond, you feel good. You feel noticed. You feel alive. If they don't respond, you feel empty. You feel ignored. And slowly, your happiness moves outside you. Into reactions. Into attention. Into approval. This is the real problem. You are not living your life. You are living for reactions. Did they like me? Did they see me? Am I enough? Every thought pulls you away from yourself. Because your value is no longer inside you. It is outside you. In opinions. In comments. In silence. And that is dangerous. Because people are not stable. They change. They ignore. They judge. They forget. But you depend on them. And Stoicism says, if your peace depends on others, you will never have peace. Because you cannot control people. You cannot control their thoughts. You cannot control their reactions. But still, you depend on them. And that is why you feel tired. Not body tired. But mind tired. Because you are always waiting. Waiting for approval. Waiting for attention. Waiting for validation. But here is the truth. You were never meant to wait for approval. You were already enough. Now think. If all validation disappeared tomorrow. No likes. No comments. No reactions. Would you still feel like you exist? Or would you feel invisible? Think carefully. Because your answer shows your mind. But here is something you need to understand. This did not start suddenly. It started slowly. Without you noticing. Validation is not born as addiction. It starts as a small need. A normal human desire. At first. You just want appreciation. A simple compliment. A small, well done. And it feels good. It feels harmless. But slowly. Something changes inside you. You start liking it more. Then you start expecting it. Then you start needing it. And without realizing it, your mind creates a rule. I am valuable when others approve me. And this belief changes everything. Now your mood is not stable. It depends on reactions. A message can lift you. A silence can break you. And you start living emotionally reactive. Not calm. Not grounded. But dependent. Every post. Every word. Every action. Becomes a calculation. What will people think? Will they like it? Will they judge me? And slowly. You stop being real. You start being careful. Not honest. Not free. Just accepted. And this is where the trap grows. Because approval is never stable. One day people like you. Next day they ignore you. One moment you feel important. Next moment you feel invisible. And your emotions follow this cycle. High. Low. High. Low. And you cannot control it anymore. Because you gave control to outside reactions. Stoicism teaches one simple truth. Anything outside your control should not control your peace. But your mind forgets this. Because it is trained for approval, not truth. And this is why you feel unstable. Not because life is hard, but because your mind is attached to reactions, and slowly, something deeper starts happening. You don't notice it at first. But it is changing you. Not your face. Not your life. Your identity. You stop being who you are. And start becoming what people accept. At first it feels small. You adjust your tone. You change your words. You avoid opinions. Just to stay safe. Just to be liked. But slowly this becomes normal. You are no longer expressing yourself. You are managing yourself. Every situation becomes a test. Will they approve me? Will they reject me? And you start shaping your personality. With one person you act different. With another you act different again. And without realizing it, you become multiple versions of yourself. But none of them are fully you. And this is the silent damage. You lose connection with your real self. Because the real self does not ask for approval. It simply exists. It speaks. It expresses. It is free. But now you are not free. You are calculating everything. Even your emotions are controlled. You laugh only when it feels accepted. You speak only when it feels safe. You stay silent when it feels risky. And slowly you start disappearing inside yourself. But outside you look normal. People think you are fine. People think you are confident. But inside, you are constantly watching yourself. And that is exhausting. Because you are not living life. You are monitoring life. And Stoicism teaches something powerful. A person dependent on approval loses freedom. Because freedom is inner independence. Not reactions. Not opinions. Not approval. But your mind forgets this truth. Because it is trained to please others. Not to understand itself. And this is where you begin to break slowly. Not outside. But inside, and now. Something even deeper starts happening. You are no longer just changing your behavior. You are changing your emotions. Slowly. Your feelings stop belonging to you. They start reacting to the outside world. A message can change your mood. A silence can break your peace. A reply can lift your entire day. And you don't even question it. Because it feels normal now. But inside, you are not stable anymore. You are reactive. Your emotions are moving like waves. Up and down. High and low. And you are not controlling them. They are controlling you. This is emotional dependency. You are not feeling life directly. You are feeling people's reactions to your life. And that changes everything. Because now your peace is not inside you. It is outside you. In notifications. In replies. In attention. And you start depending on it. Checking again and again. Not because you need it. But because you need reassurance. That you matter. That you are seen. That you exist in someone's attention. But think deeply. Why does your existence depend on someone else noticing you? Why does silence feel heavy? Why does no response feel personal? It is not life hurting you. It is your attachment to reactions. And slowly this becomes your normal state. You are always waiting. Waiting for proof that you matter. But real strength is different. Real strength does not wait for proof. It already knows its value. It does not depend on reactions. It does not depend on silence. It stays steady. Even when nothing is happening outside. And that is what you have lost. Inner stability. Because your mind is now trained to respond, not to stay calm. And this is why even small things shake you. Because everything has become emotional signal, not reality. And you are trapped inside reactions, without even realizing it. And now you start noticing something strange. The more you depend on validation, the less confident you become. Because confidence is not built from approval. It is destroyed by it. Every time you wait for someone's reaction, you lose a part of your inner strength. You stop trusting yourself. You start trusting reactions instead. And slowly, fear enters your mind. Not loud, but silent. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of being ignored. And this fear changes everything. You stop speaking freely. You stop expressing honestly. You start editing yourself. Before you even act. Before you even speak. You are already thinking. What will people say? Will they accept me? Will they judge me? And this is no longer life. This is performance. And you are the performer. Always adjusting. Always calculating. Always watching. But the real damage is deeper. You begin to believe something false. That your value comes from outside approval. If they praise you, you feel worthy. If they ignore you, you feel small. But Stoicism says something different. Your value does not increase with praise. And it does not decrease with silence. It stays the same. But your mind forgets this truth. Because it is addicted to feedback. And feedback becomes identity. So now you are not living from inside. You are living from outside signals. And this creates confusion. One day you feel strong. Next day you feel empty. And you don't understand why. But the reason is simple. You are not stable inside anymore. You are dependent on reactions. And anything you depend on controls you silently. Not with force, but with emotion. And that is the real trap. You think you are free. But your emotions are not. And then something even more dangerous begins. You start losing control over your own mind. Not suddenly, but slowly. A comment can ruin your mood. A message can disturb your peace. A silence can make you overthink everything. And you don't even notice it anymore. Because it feels normal. But think carefully. Why does something so small have so much power over you? It is not the situation. It is your attachment to it. Your mind has now become reactive. Not calm. Not stable. But constantly responding. Every small event becomes a signal. Every reaction becomes meaning. And you start overthinking everything. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset with me? Why did they not reply? And this loop never stops. Because your mind is searching for meaning everywhere. Even where there is none. And this is mental exhaustion. You are not tired because of life. You are tired because of thinking about life. And Stoicism clearly says, when you attach meaning to things you cannot control, you lose peace immediately. But your mind still does it. Because it wants certainty. It wants answers. It wants control over people. But people are not controllable. They reply when they want. They ignore when they want. They change without reason. And your mind refuses to accept this. So it creates stories. Stories that hurt you. Stories that are not even real. And slowly, you start suffering from your own thoughts. Not from reality, but from interpretation of reality. And this is the trap. You are no longer living in life. You are living inside reactions of your mind. And that is why even peace feels far away. Because your mind never stops reacting. And now, you start to feel something deeper. A constant pressure inside your mind. Not from people, but from expectation. You start expecting replies. You start expecting attention. You start expecting validation. And when it does not come, your mind reacts. Not calmly, but emotionally. You feel ignored. You feel less important. You feel disconnected. But nothing has changed outside. Only your expectations have increased. And this is where suffering begins. Because expectation is silent pressure. It sits inside your mind. Without noise. But it controls everything. You are no longer living freely. You are living in anticipation. Waiting for reactions. Waiting for approval. Waiting for signs. But think deeply. Why do you need signs from others? To feel your worth. This is not strength. This is dependence. And dependence always creates anxiety. Because what you depend on, you lose control over it. Now your emotions are not stable. They rise with attention. And fall with silence. One good reply makes you happy. One ignored message makes you low. And this cycle repeats again and again. You are not living in present anymore. You are living in reactions. And your mind is always somewhere else. Either in waiting. Or in overthinking. And this destroys inner peace. Because peace cannot exist in waiting. Peace exists in acceptance. But your mind refuses acceptance. It wants constant validation. And that is why you never feel enough. Not because you are not enough. But because you are waiting to be told you are enough. And that is the trap. You gave your peace to external reactions. And now you are trying to find it again. In the same place where it got lost. And now, you start noticing something inside yourself. You are not the same anymore. Not because life changed. But because you changed how you see life. Now everything feels personal. A late reply feels like rejection. A short message feels like disrespect. No response feels like you don't matter. But the truth is simple. None of it is personal. It is just your mind creating meaning. And this is where you start suffering silently. Because you are not reacting to reality anymore. You are reacting to your thoughts about reality. And your thoughts are not always true. But you believe them anyway. And this belief slowly becomes your prison. No walls. No chains. Just thoughts. And you live inside them. You start analyzing everything. Why did they say this? Why did they not reply? What did they mean? And your mind never rests. Even in silence. Your thoughts are loud. Even in peace. Your mind is busy. And this is mental exhaustion. Not from work. Not from people. But from overinterpretation. Stoicism teaches a simple truth. Not everything needs meaning. Not everything needs reaction. Some things are just things. A message is just a message. A silence is just silence. A delay is just delay. But your mind refuses simplicity. It wants control. It wants certainty. It wants explanation for everything. And when it does not get it, it creates stories. Stories that hurt you. Stories that are not real. And slowly, you stop living outside. And start living inside your head. And that is the most dangerous place. Because inside your head, you are both the problem and the victim at the same time. And you don't even realize it until it becomes too heavy to carry. And now, something very quiet starts happening. You start losing yourself. Not in one moment, but slowly over time. You stop doing things for yourself and start doing things for approval. Every choice becomes filtered. Will people like this? Will I be judged? Will I be accepted? And without noticing, you stop being authentic. You become careful. You become controlled. You become edited. And slowly, you forget your real voice. Because your real voice does not ask for approval. It just speaks. But now you are always thinking before speaking. And this thinking is not awareness. It is fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of being misunderstood. And this fear slowly shapes your life. You start avoiding things. Not because they are wrong, but because they might not be accepted. And this is how life shrinks. Not physically, but mentally. Your world becomes smaller. Fewer opinions. Fewer risks. Fewer real expressions. And more silence inside you. But outside, you look normal. People think you are fine. People think you are confident. But inside, you are disconnected from yourself. And this is the deepest damage. Because when you lose connection with yourself, you start depending on others to define you. Their opinion becomes your identity. Their reaction becomes your worth. And you stop recognizing who you are. You become a reflection. Not a person. A reflection of approval. A reflection of expectations. And reflections are always fragile. They change with light. They change with angle. They disappear when source is gone. And that is exactly what is happening to you. You are no longer solid inside. You are dependent on external light. And when that light changes, you change with it. Now listen carefully. This is where everything becomes clear. You were never broken. You were just dependent. Dependent on approval. Dependent on reactions. Dependent on validation. And that dependence slowly took your peace. Not all at once. But step by step. Until you forgot your own value. But the truth was always the same. Your worth was never outside you. It was never in likes. It was never in comments. It was never in attention. It was always inside you. But you stopped looking there. And started looking outside. And that is where the confusion began. Because the outside world is always changing. People change. Opinions change. Attention changes. Silence changes. Nothing stays stable. But you tried to build your identity on something unstable. And that is why you felt unstable. But now understand this. You do not need constant approval to exist. You do not need reactions to have value. You do not need attention to be real. You already are. And Stoicism teaches this clearly. Control what is yours. Let go of what is not. Your thoughts. Your actions. Your discipline. That is yours. Everything else is not. And when you finally understand this, something inside you becomes quiet. Not because life changes, but because you stopped depending on it. And in that moment, you are free again. Not because the world gave you peace, but because you stopped asking the world for it. Now ask yourself one last time. Do you want to live for approval? Or do you want to live for yourself?